Disclaimer.
I was sinking, and I realized I had run out of time.
My name is David Leonard Washington. I am 47 years old. I died for 11 minutes on January 1st, 2024 in Memphis, Tennessee.
And what I saw changed everything. Before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. For years, I told myself I was doing fine. Better than fine, actually. I had a good job at FedEx, been there for 19 years. I had a wife who loved me, 3 kids who respected me, and a position as deacon at Greater Hope Missionary Baptist Church. People looked up to me. They asked for my prayers. They called me when they needed counsel. I wore a suit every Sunday, stood at the front door greeting folks as they walked in, and made sure the offering was counted correctly every month. But late at night, when the house went quiet and my wife fell asleep beside me, I became someone else. I would wait until I heard her breathing settle into that slow, steady rhythm. Then I would reach for my phone. Just for a few minutes, I told myself, just to relax, just to take the edge off the stress. It started small. A video here, a website there. But over the years, it became a habit I could not break. I tried. God knows I tried. I would delete apps, block sites, promise myself it was the last time. But within days, sometimes hours, I would be right back where I started. And the guilt sat on my chest like a weight I could not lift. 2 years ago, I had an emotional affair with a woman at work. Her name was Simone. We never touched, never kissed, never crossed that line physically. But emotionally, I gave her parts of me that belonged to my wife. We texted late into the night. We shared things I should have been sharing at home. We laughed in ways that felt too intimate. And when it ended, when she transferred to another facility, I convinced myself it did not count because nothing physical happened. But I knew better. I knew it counted. I knew God saw it. And I never told my wife. I never confessed it to anyone. I just buried it deep and kept moving forward, kept smiling on Sundays, kept praying before meals, kept pretending I had it all together. I told myself I would deal with it later. After the kids graduated. After I paid off the house. After I retired and had more time to focus on my walk with God. I believed I had time. I believed that because I was not out here cheating, stealing, or hurting people, I was doing all right. I compared myself to other men. Men who beat their wives, men who abandoned their children, men who never set foot in a church. And in that comparison, I felt justified. But deep down, beneath all the excuses and all the delay, I knew something was wrong. I knew I was drifting. I knew that if I died tonight, I was not ready. But I pushed that thought away every time it surfaced. I drowned it in busyness, in responsibility, in the noise of everyday life. I convinced myself that God understood, that He knew I was trying, that He would give me grace because I was a good man overall. I was not a bad person. I was just struggling. And everybody struggles, right? That is what I told myself. That is the lie I lived in for years. And on New Year's Eve, 2023, I walked into my cousin's house in Whitehaven with that same lie wrapped around me like a blanket. The house smelled like fried catfish, greens, and cornbread. Music played loud from the living room. Kids ran around with party hats and noisemakers. My wife was in the kitchen with the other women, laughing and fixing plates. I grabbed a plate myself, piled it high, and sat down on the couch next to my brother-in-law, Marcus. We talked about football, about work, about how fast the year had gone by. We laughed. We ate. We watched the clock inch closer to midnight. And I felt fine, completely fine, until I did not. Around 11:30, I felt a tightness in my chest. Not painful, just uncomfortable. Like someone had wrapped a rubber band around my ribs and was pulling it tighter with each breath. I shifted in my seat, loosened my belt, and took a sip of sweet tea. Probably just the catfish, I thought, or the mac and cheese. I had eaten too much too fast, like I always did at family gatherings. Marcus looked over at me. "You good, man?" I nodded. "Yeah, just ate too much." He laughed. "That is what you get. Mama's cooking will do that to you." I smiled, but the tightness did not go away. It stayed. And slowly, quietly, it began to grow. By the time the countdown started, the discomfort had turned into pressure. Real pressure. Like someone was pressing their fist into the center of my chest, and leaning all their weight into it. I stood up, thinking maybe I needed to walk it off, maybe I needed some air. But my legs felt weak, unstable. The room erupted in noise. 10, 9, 8. I tried to take a deep breath, but my lungs would not fill. 7, 6, 5. Sweat broke out across my forehead. My vision blurred at the edges. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Everyone cheered. Hugs, kisses, laughter. Confetti fell from the ceiling. My wife turned toward me, smiling, arms open. And that is when the pain hit. Not pressure anymore. Pain. Sharp. Violent. Like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart with both hands. I stumbled backward. My wife's smile disappeared. David? David, what is wrong? I tried to answer, but no words came out. My knees buckled. I reached for the arm of the couch, missed, and went down hard. My shoulder hit the floor first, then my head. The room spun. Voices exploded around me, but they sounded distant, muffled like I was underwater. Call 911. Call 911 right now. David. David, stay with me. Look at me. I felt hands on my chest. Marcus. He had rolled me onto my back and was pressing down, hard, rhythmically. I wanted to tell him to stop, that it hurt, but I could not speak. I could not move. I could only stare up at the ceiling, at the faces hovering over me, and my wife's tears falling onto my face. And then something shifted. The noise faded, not slowly, suddenly, like someone had turned down the volume on the entire world. I could still see Marcus doing compressions. I could still see my wife's mouth moving, screaming my name, but I could not hear her anymore. And then I was not on the floor. I was above it. I looked down and saw myself. My body, lying there, still, gray. Marcus still working on my chest. My wife gripping my hand, sobbing. My cousin on the phone with the dispatcher. And I felt nothing. No pain. No fear. Just confusion. Am I dead? I tried to speak, but my voice made no sound. I tried to move closer, but something held me in place. And then I felt it. A pull. Not physical. Deeper than that. Like invisible hands had wrapped around my chest and were dragging me backward, away from the room, away from my body, away from everything I knew. The lights dimmed. The walls faded. The voices disappeared completely. And the heat began. It started as warmth. Then it became uncomfortable. Then it became unbearable. I was not falling. I was being pulled, dragged, yanked downward through something I could not see, but could feel pressing against me from all sides. The air grew thick, heavy, hard to breathe, even though I was not sure I was breathing at all. Darkness swallowed everything. And in that darkness, I heard voices, distant, echoing, crying, screaming, whispering. I realized where I was going. And for the first time in 47 years, I understood that I had run out of time. I landed hard, not on ground, not on anything solid I could name. But I felt the impact, a jarring, bone-deep shock that rattled through me even though I no longer had bones. The heat hit me next, not like stepping outside on a Memphis summer day, not like standing near a grill or an open oven. This was different. This heat came from below, rising in thick waves that pressed against my skin, my chest, my throat. It did not burn, not yet, but it promised to. I tried to stand, but my legs trembled beneath me. The surface under my feet felt rough, uneven, like cracked pavement that had been baking in the sun for years. I looked down, and in the dim, sourceless light, I could see its stone, dark, scorched, split open in jagged lines that glowed faintly, as if something molten moved beneath it. Where am I? The air was thick, heavy. Every breath felt like inhaling smoke, but there was no smoke I could see. Just weight, pressure, like the atmosphere itself was trying to crush me. I put my hand to my chest, gasping, trying to force air into my lungs, but it did not help. Nothing helped. And then I heard them. Voices, distant at first, faint, but growing louder. Not shouting, not screaming. Worse than that, these were sounds of defeat, crying that had no hope of comfort, groaning that expected no relief. Whispers repeating the same words over and over, too low for me to make out, but constant, unending, like a song no one wanted to sing but could not stop. I turned slowly, afraid of what I would see. Shadows moved in the distance. Figures, hunched, slow, dragging themselves forward with no destination. Some sat with their heads in their hands. Some stood frozen, staring at nothing. None of them looked at me. None of them looked at each other. They were alone. Every single one of them was alone, even though hundreds, maybe thousands, surrounded them. My heart pounded, or at least it felt like it did. I was not sure I even had a heart anymore. This is not real. This cannot be real. But the heat said otherwise. The weight in the air said otherwise. The voices said otherwise. And then the realization hit me like a fist to the stomach. This is hell. I am in hell. No, 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 no. I shook my head, backing away from the shadows, from the voices, from the heat. This was not supposed to happen. Not to me. I was a deacon. I went to church. I provided for my family. I prayed. I believed in Jesus. I was saved. I said the prayer when I was 12 years old. I got baptized. I served. I gave. I what? The question hung in the air, unanswered. I stopped moving. The heat pressed closer. And that is when I felt it. A presence. Not behind me. Not in front of me. Beside me. Close enough that if I reached out, I might touch it. But I did not reach out. I could not. Because this presence, it was not human. It was not physical. It was something else. Something that existed beyond sight, beyond sound, beyond anything I had ever known. And it spoke. Not out loud. Not with a voice that traveled through air and entered my ears. This voice bypassed all of that. It spoke directly into my spirit, into the deepest part of me, into the place where lies cannot survive. David, I froze. My name. It said my name. Not shouted. Not whispered. Just stated. Like it had always known me. Like it had been waiting for me. I tried to speak, but my mouth would not move. My throat closed. All I could do was stand there, trembling, as the voice continued. You provided for your family, but you did not lead them to me. The words cut through me like a blade. Clean. Precise. True. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to say that I did lead them, that I took them to church every Sunday, that I prayed at the dinner table, that I made sure they knew about Jesus. But the words would not come. Because deep down I knew that taking them to church was not the same as leading them to God. I knew that praying before meals was not the same as teaching them how to pray in secret. I knew that talking about Jesus on Sundays was not the same as living for him Monday through Saturday. The voice spoke again. You gave them comfort, but you did not give them truth. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. Not with tears. I was not sure I could cry here, but with something heavier. Shame. Regret. The weight of wasted years pressing down on me all at once. I opened my mouth, forced the words out. I tried. You delayed. 2 words. That is all it took. 2 words, and my entire defense crumbled. Because it was true. I delayed. I procrastinated. I told myself I would get serious with God later. After the kids were grown. After I retired. After life slowed down. I convinced myself I had time. I believed that tomorrow was guaranteed, that next year would come, that I would have decades to fix what was broken inside me. But I did not. I had 47 years, and I wasted most of them. Look, the voice did not get louder, but the command was absolute. I could not refuse. I turned my head slowly, following the invisible direction, and that is when I saw them. Men, hundreds of them, standing in loose clusters scattered across the dark, cracked ground. They were not old. They were not young. They were like me, middle-aged, faces lined with years of work, worry, responsibility. Some wore suits. Some wore work boots and jeans. Some wore church clothes, shirts and ties, polished shoes. I even saw one man still holding a Bible. They all looked lost, confused, like they had just arrived and could not understand how they had gotten here. I took a step closer, squinting through the dim light, and my stomach dropped. I recognized faces. Deacon Matthews. He died of a stroke last year during a Wednesday night service. Collapsed right there at the altar. I went to his funeral. I hugged his wife. I told her he was in a better place. But he was not. He was here. Jerome from work. He had a heart attack at his desk 2 years ago. 52 years old. We all said it was too soon, that he had so much life left. But he did not. He was here. And my cousin, Terrence, died in a car accident 3 years ago. 49. Left behind 4 kids. He was here too. I staggered backward, shaking my head, unable to process what I was seeing. These are the men who thought they had more time. The voice was not cruel. It was not mocking. It was simply truthful. And somehow, that made it worse. I looked at their faces again. Really looked. And I saw it. The same expression on every single one of them. Shock, disbelief, regret. They had not expected to be here. None of them had. And then, in front of each man, something appeared. Screens. No, not screens. Mirrors. Reflections. Something I cannot fully describe, but I could see them clearly. And in those reflections, images moved. Memories. Moments. Lives playing out in silent, brutal clarity. I saw Deacon Matthews sitting in his car outside a woman's house. Saw him texting someone who was not his wife. Saw him deleting messages before he walked back into his own home. I saw Jerome drinking alone every night. Saw him yelling at his kids. Saw him ignoring his wife's attempts to reach him. Saw him collapsing inward year after year until there was nothing left but bitterness. I saw Terrence gambling away his paycheck. Saw him lying to his family. Saw him making promises he never kept. And none of them could look away. They stood there, frozen, forced to watch their own lives play out in front of them. Every hidden sin, every secret, every moment they thought no one saw. But someone had seen. Someone had always seen. The voice spoke again, softer now, but no less powerful. They believed they were good men. They believed that because they were not the worst, they were acceptable. I felt my knees weaken, because I had believed the same thing. The voice continued. The sins you hid in the dark followed you here. And that is when it appeared in front of me. My own reflection, my own memories, playing out like a film I could not pause, could not stop, could not escape. I saw myself 2 nights before I died. Lying in bed, my wife is asleep beside me. Her breathing is soft and steady. And I saw myself reach for my phone. I saw the glow light up my face in the darkness. Saw my thumb scrolling, clicking, watching. My expression is blank, hollow, like I was not even enjoying it, just going through the motions of a habit I had repeated so many times it had become routine. I wanted to look away. I could not. The image shifted. Now I was at work. 3 years ago, sitting in the break room. Simone walked in. I saw myself smile. Saw the way my eyes lingered a little too long. Saw the conversation that started innocently enough and then did not. Saw the text later that night. Saw me laughing at something she said. Saw me typing back, deleting, retyping, making sure the words sounded just right. Saw me hiding my phone when my wife walked into the room. I saw it all. Every moment I thought I had hidden. Every lie I told myself. Every time I said it did not count because nothing physical happened. But it had counted. It had always counted. The image shifted again. Now I was in church. Sunday morning. Standing at the front door in my suit. Shaking hands. Greeting people with a smile. The pastor was preaching. I heard his voice echoing faintly in the memory. He was talking about holiness. About examining your heart. About getting right with God before it was too late. And I saw myself nod. Saw myself say amen under my breath. Saw myself agreeing with every word. And then I saw myself leave that service and change nothing. I went home. I ate lunch. I watched football. I went to bed. And the next morning, I woke up and did the same things I've been doing for years. The same sins. The same secrets. The same delays. I felt the weight of it crushing me. Not the heat. Not the atmosphere. The weight of my own choices. The voice spoke again, and this time, it was not addressing me. It was addressed everyone. Every man standing in that place. Every soul is trapped in their own reflection. You were given years to repent. You were given conviction. You were given moments of clarity when the Holy Spirit whispered to your heart and told you to turn back. And you chose comfort instead. You chose delay. You chose to believe that tomorrow was promised. I tried to speak. I tried to say something. Anything. I did not know. You knew. The The voice was not angry. It was not shouting, but it was absolute, final, undeniable. And I realized it was right. I had known. I knew every time I lied to my wife. I knew every time I opened my phone in the dark. I had known every time I felt conviction and pushed it away. I had known every time I sat in church and felt the Holy Spirit moving and chose not to respond. I had known. I just did not want to deal with it. The image in front of me shifted one more time. Now I saw my children. My oldest son, Marcus Jr., is 16 years old. I watched him grow up fast forward. I watched him as a little boy, sitting on my lap, asking me questions about God. I watched him get older, start pulling away, start spending more time on his phone, in his room, disconnected. I watched him stop praying, stop reading his Bible, stop asking questions. And I realized he had learned it from me. I saw my daughter, Brianna, 13. I watched her look up to me when she was younger. I watched her smile when I walked through the door. Watched that smile fade over the years as she realized I was not the man she thought I was. She never said anything, but she knew. Children always know. I saw my youngest, Isaiah, 9 years old. Watch him mimic me. Watched him fold his hands before meals the same way I did. I watched him pretend to pray. I watched him go through the motions just like I had, and I understood. I was not just failing myself. I was teaching them how to fail. I was leading them down the same path I had walked. A path of religion without relationship. A path of appearance without substance. A path that ended here. The weight became unbearable. I dropped my knees. The rough stone dug into my legs, but I did not care. I could not stand it anymore. I could not hold myself up under the crushing realization of what I had done, or what I had not done. I am sorry. The words felt empty. Useless. Too late. I am so sorry. The voice spoke one final time. Quiet now. Almost sad. Warn them. The men who think they have time do not. I am removing my mercy from this generation. What remains is judgment. I looked up, trembling, tears streaming down my face, or something like tears. I was not sure anymore. Please, I whispered. Please let me go back. Let me tell them. Let me fix this. The heat intensified. The ground beneath me cracked open wider. I felt myself sinking. Slowly, the darkness rising around me like water filling a room. I tried to stand, but my legs would not move. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The shadows in the distance grew closer. The voice is louder. The weight is heavier. I was sinking, and I realized this was it. This was eternity. This was the consequence of every delayed decision, every ignored conviction, every wasted moment. I had run out of time, and there was no escape. The darkness closed in. The heat became unbearable, and in that final moment, as I sank deeper into the abyss, I understood the full weight of one simple truth. I was not ready. I had never been ready, and now it was too late. If you're still here, thank you. Please subscribe if you want more testimonies like this. I was sinking. The darkness had swallowed me whole. The heat was no longer just around me. It was inside me, burning through whatever was left of my soul. I could not breathe. I could not think. I could not do anything except feel the weight of every wasted year pressing down on me like 1,000 tons of regret. This is it. This is eternity. And then everything changed. The darkness cracked. Not slowly, not gradually. It split open like glass shattering under a hammer. A light, brilliant, blinding, white-hot, tore through the shadows with such force that I felt the impact in my chest. The oppressive weight that had been crushing me lifted, just like that, gone. The heat began to fade. The voices stopped. The ground beneath me, or whatever I had been sinking into, solidified, and I was no longer falling. I looked up, trembling, barely able to process what was happening. And that is when I saw it. A hand, reaching down through the light. Strong, steady, undeniable. It did not ask permission. It did not wait for me to reach back. It simply grabbed me, not my physical body. I did not have one here, but something deeper, my spirit, my essence. Whatever part of me still existed in that place, it seized it with a grip so firm I could not have resisted even if I wanted to. And a voice spoke. Not the convincing voice from before. This one was different. It carried authority, power, finality. Your time is not finished. I gasped or tried to. I was not sure if I was breathing or if breathing even mattered anymore. You will warn them. And then I was pulled, violently. It felt like being yanked through water, through walls, through layers of reality I did not know existed. The darkness shattered around me. The flames disappeared. The shadows scattered like smoke in the wind. Everything that had felt so heavy, so permanent, so eternal, dissolved in an instant. I was moving upward, faster than I could comprehend. And with every second, I felt the weight of hell falling away, piece by piece, until all that remained was the light and the grip of that hand pulling me home. And then, air. My lungs exploded. I gasped so violently my entire body convulsed. My chest heaved. My throat burned. My eyes snapped open, and the first thing I saw was blinding white light. Not the light from before. Fluorescent lights. Hospital lights. Sounds rushed back all at once. Beeping. Rapid beeping. Voices. Urgent. Overlapping. He's back. He's back. Stay with us, sir. Stay with us. Pulse is stabilizing. BP coming up. I tried to move, but my body would not respond. It felt foreign, heavy, like I had been gone for years, and my soul was struggling to remember how to operate it. My fingers twitched. My toes curled. My head rolled to the side, and I saw them. Nurses, paramedics, doctors, all standing around me, staring down at me with expressions I could not fully read. Relief, shock, urgency. One of them leaned closer, a young black woman with kind eyes and sweat on her forehead. "Welcome back, Mr. Washington. You gave us a scare." I tried to speak, but nothing came out except a rasp. My throat felt like sandpaper. My lips were dry. My tongue is heavy. She placed a hand on my shoulder. "Do not try to talk yet. Just breathe. You were in the ER at Regional 1. You had a massive heart attack. Your heart stopped for 11 minutes. 11 minutes, sir. But you are back now. You are okay. 11 minutes. I was dead for 11 minutes. But it felt like hours. Days. A lifetime compressed into moments I would never forget. I closed my eyes, and immediately the images flooded back. The heat. The voices. The men standing in their regret. The screens showing their hidden lives. My own reflection. My own sins. My own failures. And my children. God, my children. Tears slid down the sides of my face, warm against my cold skin. I could not stop them. I did not try. The nurse squeezed my shoulder gently. "It is okay. You are safe now. Your wife is waiting outside. Just rest." But I could not rest, because I knew something she did not. I knew what I had seen. I knew where I had been, and I knew why I was back. I was not given a second chance to live comfortably. I was given a second chance to warn them. My fingers curled into fists. My jaw tightened. And deep in my chest, beneath the pain, beneath the exhaustion, beneath the fear, I felt something else. A burden. A weight. Not the crushing weight of hell. This was different. This was the weight of responsibility. Of mission. Of purpose. I opened my eyes again, staring up at the ceiling tiles, and I made a promise. I will not waste this. I will not go back to who I was. I will warn them. No matter what it costs. 3 weeks later, I sat across from my wife at our kitchen table. The house was quiet. The kids were at school. It was just the two of us, and I knew what I had to do. Patricia looked at me with concern in her eyes. She had been worried since I came home from the hospital. I could see it in the way she watched me, the way she asked if I was okay every few hours, the way she barely slept because she kept checking to make sure I was still breathing. I reached across the table and took her hand. "Patricia, I need to tell you something." She nodded slowly. "Okay." I took a deep breath. This was the hardest thing I had ever done. Harder than dying. Harder than hell. Because this required me to destroy the image she had of me. The image I had built over 19 years of marriage. The image of a good husband. A good father. A good man. But that image was a lie. And I could not carry it anymore. When I died, I went somewhere. I saw things, and God showed me the truth about myself, about who I really was. And Patricia, I have been lying to you. For years, her grip tightened on my hand. She did not speak. She just waited. So I told her everything. I told her about the pornography, about the late nights on my phone while she slept beside me, about how long it had been going on, about how many times I tried to stop and could not, about how ashamed I felt every single time, and how I kept doing it anyway. I told her about Simone, about the emotional affair, about the texts, about the conversations, about how I gave parts of my heart to another woman that should have belonged to her, about how I convinced myself it did not count because nothing physical happened, about how I knew it was wrong and did it anyway. I told her about my prayer life, or the lack of it, about how I performed at church but barely prayed at home, about how I read my Bible on Sundays but ignored it the rest of the week, about how I was leading our family to a building but not to God. And with every word, I watched her face change. First, confusion, then hurt, then tears. She pulled her hand away from mine and covered her mouth. Her shoulders shook. She turned her head, unable to look at me. "Patricia, I am so sorry. I am so sorry." She stood up from the table, walked to the sink, and gripped the edge of the counter. Her back was to me. I could hear her crying softly. I stayed in my seat, giving her space, knowing I had just shattered something that might never fully heal. After what felt like an eternity, she spoke. Her voice was quiet, broken. "How long, David? How long have you been lying to me?" "Years," I whispered. "Too many years." She turned around, and the look in her eyes. I will never forget it. It was not anger. It was not rage. It was something worse. Disappointment. "I thought I knew you," she said, her voice trembling. I thought we were okay. I thought we were solid. And now you're telling me that the man I have been sleeping next to, the man I have been building a life with, I do not even know him." "You know me now," I said, standing slowly. "I'm not hiding anymore. I cannot hide anymore. What I saw, where I went. Patricia, I cannot go back to that. I cannot live like that. I would rather lose everything here than go back there." She wiped her eyes, staring at me for a long moment. "What did you see?" I told her. I told her about the heat, the darkness, the voices. I told her about the men who thought they had more time. I told her about the screens showing their hidden lives. I told her about seeing myself, about every lie, every secret, every moment of conviction I ignored. I told her about the voice that confronted me. I told her about sinking, about thinking it was over, about the hand that pulled me back. And I told her why. I was sent back to warn people, Patricia. I was sent back to tell the truth. And I have to start here. With you. With our family. I cannot stand in front of anyone else and tell them to get right with God if I have not gotten right with you first. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I do not know if I can forgive you right now, David. I do not know if I can trust you. But I can see that something is different. I can see it in your eyes. You are not the same man who left this house on New Year's Eve." "I'm not," I said, "and I never will be again." She nodded slowly. "Then we will take this one day at a time. But David, if you ever lie to me again, we are done. Do you understand?" "Understand." That conversation almost destroyed my marriage. But it was also the beginning of something real. Something honest. Something I should have built 19 years ago. The next week, I went to my pastor. I sat in his office and told him everything. He listened without interrupting. And when I finished, I said, "I need to step down as deacon." He leaned back in his chair, studying me. "Why?" "Because I have been living a lie. I have been standing in front of this church representing something I was not living. And I cannot do that anymore. I will not do that anymore." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "David, stepping down is not enough. You need to repent. You need to heal. You need to rebuild. But if God has truly changed you, then eventually you will serve again. Just not right now." I nodded. "I know." He prayed for me. And for the first time in years, I felt that prayer reach me. Over the next few months, I made changes. Real changes. I deleted every social media app on my phone. I installed accountability software and gave Patricia full access. I cut off relationships that enabled my old life. I stopped going to certain places. I stopped watching certain things. I stopped making excuses. I started waking up at 5 a.m. to pray. Not because I had to, Because I needed to. Because after seeing what I saw, I could not afford to be spiritually lazy anymore. I started fasting. Once a week, sometimes twice. Not to impress God, but to discipline myself. To remind my flesh that it did not control me. I started reading my Bible like my life depended on it. Because it did. And my family noticed. My son, Marcus Jr., came to me one night while I was reading in the living room. "Dad, are you okay?" I looked up at him. "Yeah, so. I am better than I have been in a long time." He sat down on the couch next to me. "You have been different since the hospital. Mom said you died for a few minutes. Is that true?" "It is." "What was it like?" I closed my Bible and looked at him. Really looked at him. He was 16, almost a man, and I realized I had been wasting the time I had with him. "It was the most terrifying thing I have ever experienced," I said, and it showed me that I was not living the way I thought I was. I was not the man I thought I was, and I do not want you to make the same mistakes I did. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Can you tell me about it?" So I did. I told him everything, and he listened. My daughter, Brianna, started asking questions too. She wanted to know why I was different, why I was praying more, why I was reading my Bible more, why did I seem lighter. So I told her. My youngest, Isaiah, started praying with me in the mornings. He would wake up early and come sit with me while I read. He did not say much. He just sat there, but I knew he was watching, learning, and this time I was teaching him the right things. Patricia and I started going to marriage counseling. It was hard, painful. There were days I thought we would not make it. But slowly, brick by brick, we started rebuilding. And then I started sharing my testimony. At first, it was just at church. My pastor asked me to speak during a men's meeting. I stood in front of 30 men and told them what I had seen. I told them about the pornography, the affair, the spiritual laziness. I told them about hell. I told them about the men who thought they had more time. And when I finished, the room was silent. Then one man stood up, tears streaming down his face. I needed to hear that. I have been living the same way. Then another man stood. Me too. Then another. By the end of the night, 12 men came forward and confessed they were struggling with the same things I had struggled with. And we prayed together. We cried together. And we committed to holding each other accountable. Word spread. I was invited to speak at other churches, other men's groups, other events. People started reaching out to me on social media, the little I had left. Messages from men all over the country. "Your testimony saved my marriage. I was about to give up on God, but your story reminded me why I need Him. I have been hiding the same sin for years. Thank you for being honest." One man drove 3 hours just to sit down with me at a coffee shop in Memphis. He was 52 years old, a pastor, and he told me he had been living a double life for over a decade. "I thought I was the only one," he said, his voice breaking. "I thought I was too far gone." "You are not," I told him, "but you have to stop hiding. You have to get honest. Today, not tomorrow. Today." He nodded, and 2 weeks later, he sent me a message telling me he had confessed everything to his wife and his church leadership. He lost his position, but he said he felt free for the first time in years. That is what this testimony does. It exposes the lie that we can hide forever. It exposes the lie that we have more time. It exposes the lie that God does not see. And it reminds people that eternity is real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And the choices we make today determine where we spend forever. I am 47 years old. I died for 11 minutes on January 1st, 2024. And I came back with a message. If you are a man, especially a middle-aged man, and you're living a double life, you need to hear this. The sin you think you are hiding is not hidden. The time you think you have is not guaranteed. The excuses you are making will not matter when you stand before God. I provided for my family. I went to church. I served. I tithed. I did all the things people could see, but God saw what I did in private, and He held me accountable. You may think you are not as bad as other men. You may think that because you're not out here cheating, stealing, or hurting people, you're doing all right. But that is not the standard. The standard is holiness. The standard is surrender. The standard is living for God every single day, not just on Sundays. Stop delaying. Stop procrastinating. Stop telling yourself you will deal with it later. Later may never come. Examine your heart. Today. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not after the kids are grown, or after you retire, or after life slows down. Today. Confess your sin to God. Confess it to your wife if you need to. Confess it to someone you trust. Get it out of the darkness and into the light. Because the longer you hide it, the deeper it roots itself into your soul. Turn back. Repent. Get serious with God before it is too late. Because I am telling you, from someone who has been there, hell is real, and it is filled with people who thought they had more time. Do not be one of them. I want to know where you're watching from. Comment below. Tell me your city, your state, your country. Because I want to pray for you tonight. I want to lift you up before God and ask Him to give you the strength to do what you know you need to do. And if this testimony helped you, if it convicted you, if it reminded you of something you have been ignoring, do not keep it to yourself. Share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. Because there are men out there right now who are one decision away from eternity, and they need this warning. Thank you for listening. Subscribe and watch the next testimony on your screen. Do not wait. Do not delay. Your time may be shorter than you think.